the UK, and the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners, there's been an election.
There has, with a very thin veneer of democracy laid over the top of it. But yes, the APCC there talking about the role of the PCC. So just to recap what PCCs are, 4 started in 2012. The government say that they're responsible for the way the area is policed, the police budget, the amount of council tax charged per police, and the information you get about what local police are doing. So that's important. We'll come back to that later. But interesting, of course, to note that they determined both the budget and the amount that's drawn from council tax. So the elections just goes to show how, in effect, since 2012, the situation's been manipulated for an almost exclusively sort of uniparty Labour Conservative result, with one exception of a Plaid Cymru seat in West Wales. But there were only six independent candidates standing, of which none got through. And part of the reason for this is that in 2023, the Electoral Commission changed the voting system in order that it's now first past the post, which it hadn't been previously. And this very much reduces the chances of a non-mainstream party candidate managing to actually be selected. The Institute for Government have put forward a piece on this, Local Elections 2024, and they talk specifically about the sort of history of it, saying that when these elections were first held in 2012, 12 independent PCCs were elected, and in 2016, 3. So it's obviously been a great deterioration, if that's the way you look at it. Of course, at that time, many of those had prior experience in the criminal justice system, which you could say is a problem that we are well rid of, although it's very difficult to know which way to look at this. Nonetheless, we shall. The APCC guidance about the conduct during the pre-election period, which they refer to as Purdah, goes back to 2021. And they specifically talk about officials not using their public office for political purposes. And in particular, they should not use information in support of their campaign, which is not publicly available to other candidates. Now, I've been speaking to Don Gerard of the Justice and Anti-Corruption Party, who contested the PCC election in Hampshire and polled 40,000 votes. And also, I should point out, on results, we've been following the candidacy of Matthew Randolph in Gloucestershire, who from a standing start polled 15,000 votes as an independent candidate. But just to return to Hampshire, we'll look at the PCC there, Donna Jones, and there is hot controversy highlighted here by the Petersfield Post paid-for article, in which she is seen on the 8th of March wearing a campaign rosette whilst on official business. This leaflet went out with the council tax flyer, and I refer back to what the government said about the PCC informing the public about what the police is up to, but there's no specific requirement for what the information on what the Police and Crime Commission is up to. So again, this went out to 800,000 households. And the questions being asked are who paid for it, and is it a statement of fact, or is it election campaigning? So this has been taken to the Electoral Commission, who have said that they are unable to do anything about it, but of course it should go back to the police. Now, the problem with that is that a police complaint goes to the IOPC, the Independent Office for Public Conduct, and of course, when you submit a complaint, what happens to it? Your complaint is sent directly to the police force or organisation concerned for them to consider. So in this specific situation, a PCC, in effect, has to mark their own homework. Now, as luck would have it, or bad luck would have it, Donna Jones, who I've just been speaking about, is in fact the chair of the APCC, which is perhaps nothing short of extraordinary. And I just follow that up by saying that the Fraud Act 2006 has contained within it Section 4. The provisions within say that a breach of this section is constituted if he dishonestly abuses that position and intends by means of the abuse of that position to make a gain for himself or another. Now, with PCC salaries being in the region of £80,000 to £90,000 a year, that is looking like an interesting scenario, and one certainly that we will be following up on, because of course the PCCs are in a position not only to be able to fend off allegations of corruption in their own backyard, but also corruption elsewhere too.
Charles, I'm finding this interesting. The PCC role was supposed to be independent of the police, certainly. But surely it was originally intended to be independent of government as well. I mean, it's supposed to, because policing is not just about the operation of boots on the ground, it's also the implementation of government policy.
Exactly so, which is really why I draw attention to the fact that the Electoral Commission have changed the nature of the system in order that it's skewed very much against the possibility of an independent candidate getting a foot in the door. So, yes, I mean, it seems to be the exactly opposite outcome of what was intended. And now there's no regard given to where that sort of sends police, and what the role of police really is and how that's shaped through the force priorities and all the other things that the Police and Crime Commissioner can have influence over.
Yes, okay.